goes off in case the mayor invites us outside to fight back. Can you believe that? They're fighting over Sunday liquor laws. Mayor and the city council member Brown Howard are fighting. City council guy says, I want to be in the hallway because I know they have. Mayor's 64 years old, for God's sake.
It is odd. I know.
Which mayor was it?
North St. Paul.
Yeah,
Chris?
that's crazy. That's unfortunate when it gets to that part. That
Well, I
level.
can't understand.
Yeah.
But it
Where
was the
you
mayor.
gonna go, let's go out.
It was the mayor who sent the invitation. City council member was 31 years old. That's
The worst.
64 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, most of my
It's
stuff,
really
most of my stuff comes before.
Oh, no, I know.
You know, I've noticed that the wick to them is
Oh,
on.
yeah.
So I get everything ready and then I turn it
So I
on.
just stop by.
Whatever. So,
Goes on that
that,
surgically
there's
reversed.
all
Really?
that
Yeah.
stuff.
You have to do that.
Yeah, and you just
This
need
and
to
that
be brought back to
So,
reality.
and then.
Okay, I
was
want
just-
every council member to
I
have
was
their own
telling
mic, so
people,
here you go.
only get to go
Because
already.
in order for Brooke, who's like over
Yeah,
here,
so
have
I,
any questions,
oh,
you can
January,
use our mic.
Okay.
but made it through.
So we're.
Took me through February to
Striking
finish
our
getting
seven.
cut up. And so,
They're gonna do like a
as of
presentation,
last week,
but they're based in
officially
California.
got
Oh, okay.
so now it's just pretty much manageable. Well, shoot. There's always.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
The busiest months
Okay.
are January and July. July is most. However, it's pretty stable.
You will now be placed into the conference.
Mid. But it stays pretty steady the rest of the month. It spikes slightly after the end of each quarter because there's whatnot to do associated with it. But
Oh, you know.
You are the last party in the conference.
everything I use QuickBooks. So yeah, that's if they're not using QuickBooks, I'm probably not.
Yeah, because Jude, that was, I didn't bring my, oh,
I can
this
run.
has really nothing to do, we're not gonna put more money into the next shop.
Yeah, it must be something the way it was.
Want to see the receipt later, or you want it?
You will now be placed into the conference.
There is the option. Yeah, I know. There is the option with.
Can't believe it.
There's just a scanner where it's
Yeah.
Distant,
pop all the
both,
receipts in
they're,
there.
they're progressive, but.
Well, technology isn't that great yet. It ports it, but you still have to.
I saw a friend last week
It's
ago.
not going to know when you want something from the PC company.
Wise, one distance, one close.
Oh,
I,
how's that
I,
work
There's
out?
I don't know what's
some
going on, but I would never.
manual
I just,
labor associated with it. You can download information from your PC to upgrade your accounts. But again, it needs a little bit of direction to be told, what to do. It's once it's set up, it's not that bad because it auto-fills it into the last transaction. So usually, after you type the first couple letters of the vendor name, all you're doing is changing the date.
part of it. No, why did that?
So most of my businesses that I work with, they just give me one password.
Hi, it's Brooke with OpenGov.
Entering everything.
Hi, Brooke, this is Pam, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good.
So we're just waiting, our meeting will start yet in about 7 minutes.
Sounds good. I'll be on mute, and I will let me publish my screen. Let me know when you see it.
We can see the screen.
Perfect.
Yep, great.
Closer to them, yeah. Okay. But I mean, for that, usually there's a charge for the license.
Okay, it's time to call this work session to order. And Councilmember Howard will be a few minutes late. He's been detained, but he will be here shortly. In the meantime, I think Cheryl will note who was here, and we'll let Pam Demetrenko and Chris Regis take over the show.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. The first item that we're going to address this evening is our budget transparency tool. And we're really proud of this. You know, just at our recent goal setting session, we talked about transparency, open data, big data, and this is actually our first foray into that. And we were the first Minnesota city to launch a budget transparency tool. And City Manager Steve Devich and I actually learned about this tool when we were at a conference in Boston in 2013. And so we've launched this back at the end of October 2013. So it's been up for a bit, but I think we've got a lot of data on there, thanks to Chris, probably over at least 7 years of data now. And I think it would be really helpful for the council and, of course, anybody that we're going to hopefully be taping this, I think, and put it on our website to just learn how to navigate through this tool. So Brooke Simmons from opengov.com, she's on the other line here in California. And Brooke, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just going to let you take over and start the presentation, and the council members know if they have questions to just feel free to ask at any time.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Pam. As Pam mentioned, I am Brooke Simmons. I am the City of Richfield account manager here at OpenGov. I'm going to be walking through some of your report functionality today. I'm happy to answer questions along the way, so feel free to stop me if you'd like me to revisit anything or you have any questions that crop up. For a little bit of background, OpenGov is a web-based financial reporting and transparency platform. We have been around for several years now, but now just in the past year have really picked up momentum, and we're working with nearly 300 customers across the nation, from large governments to very small townships and special districts of all sizes, to help present their financial information to their citizens and internal users in a meaningful way. So without further ado, I'll dive into the City of Richfield's OpenGov site. Right now, you can see my screen, and I'm on the actual finance and budget page under the Administrative Services Department on the City of Richfield site. This is where your team has linked your budget transparency tool right here with the magnifying glass and the handy $sign over here on the right-hand side. This is a great way for your citizens that may be looking for information related to transparency, the budget, or financial data to get access to your OpenGov site itself. Now, if I click on that magnifying glass, it's going to take me out to the City of Richfield's OpenGov site. And you can navigate directly here at any time from your OpenGov URL, which is simply richfield.opengov.com. Now, I'm going to pull up a welcome screen really quickly and show you that. When you visit the report for the first time, you're greeted by a welcome screen that provides some tooltips pointing out where handy features are, as well as links to 2 of our help guides. Now, one is a how-to navigational guide, which kind of gives an overview of how to click around OpenGov. The other is a Budget 101 guide, and that gives a short guide to multi-fund accounting. So really written with the citizen's perspective in mind, or those less familiar with government finance terminology. I'll click Get Started to dismiss this welcome screen. But like I just did, you can recall the welcome screen or either help menu from the help menu in the upper right-hand corner at any time. Now that I've dismissed the welcome screen, you can see here that we are on the City of Richfield's default page. That means a couple of things. This is your annual report, so we're displaying over 7 years of financial data. So 6 years of actuals and 1 year of budget right here, the last year of budget. We also have your 2014 revised budget included, and we have your 2014 unaudited actuals. So you can see down here on the x-axis how many years of data we've included into this site to make it a really robust presentation. Now it defaults to display your expense data broken down by your departments. So all of this information on the graph represents expenditures over time, and we're breaking it down by the city's departmental structure. So for each department, what does their historical spending look like? As I hover over the name of any department in the legend, you see some of these tooltips pop out, and they're going to give you insights into the data. They're going to tell you what, in this case, Public Works has spent in any given year, what percent that made up of total expenditures, and even the percent change from the prior year. So you can easily see if spending is trending up or down over time. It will also always provide you with a total expenditure amount for that year at the bottom under the total in the tooltip. Now, all OpenGov graphs are fully interactive. You can simply click in to learn more. So if we wanted to learn more about public safety, which is this blue area at the top of the graph, we can simply click into public safety to drill down into those departments. So you can see in here our police operations, support services, inspections, and even emergency services. We can click in again to just zoom into police operations to understand their expenditures over time. Now we've isolated police operations, so we've drilled down in your departmental structure to just look at police operations spending. But that doesn't mean in OpenGov that we're done analyzing this information. We can break down this police operations expenditure in different ways. We can break it down by fund to see which fund the spending is coming out of, all out of the general fund. Or we can visualize it by expense type to break down police operations spending by expense type so that it's easy to see what we're really spending the money on over time. You can see here a vast percentage of the spending is on personnel, which makes sense in the police department. You can also see here other services and charges. We can simply click into personnel to understand more about what's under personnel. And now you're down at those actually salary and wage types. So you can see how much we're spending on full-time police operations, medical insurance, part-time, overtime, even workers' comp. And within just a couple of clicks, we've been able to drill down into our police operations, flip to expense type to understand what we're spending money on, and easily visualize this all the way back to 2009 in just a couple of clicks. I want to show you some of the different graph types we have available to us on OpenGov. We default right now to the stacked graph, which stacks each item in the legend on top of each other. We can easily change that at any time to a percentage graph, which shows you percent change over time. a line graph, which is going to show you the raw trends over time with no stacking or emphasis, a pie graph, which zooms in and gives you a snapshot of each year. So you can see here now that we're focused on the breakdown of just the 2015 adopted budget. We can scroll back to compare that to any years historically, and you'll see how the percentage breakdown changes. Pretty consistent across this. Our final graph type is the bar graph. Definitely a customer favorite. We see a lot of bar graphs used in presentations and budget books. Remember at any point how we can hover over a specific area of the graph to see a tooltip, or over the name and the legend to see all of the tooltips pop out? Say maybe that font's a little small and you want to see all the numbers in one place. Easy to do on OpenGov. You can simply click this View Table button, or simply scroll down your screen, and there's always a tabular view of the data below any chart or graph. This is always updating depending on how you're clicking into the graph or you're filtering things. So you can always trust that this information reflects what's in the chart above. Now, the information on OpenGov is meant to be easily shared and downloaded, and we have a couple of ways that help optimize that. Up here in the top right-hand corner, we have separate share and download menus. Within the share menu, we have some social media integration. So we see a lot of communications teams, PIOs, even elected officials using this to post information out into forums that their citizens are familiar with. When you share any of these items on social media or via email, what it does is open up a new message or post, and it copies this entire URL string at the top of your browser into that message, so that when the recipient or a citizen clicks on this link, they are redirected right here to the view that you were looking at. So personnel services for police operations, overtime, in this bar graph. They're going to see exactly what you saw. Say you're more interested in embedding something in a report. That's what our download menu is for. If I click on download, we have several options available to you. You can always download an image of the chart itself for a report or to share with someone. That downloads as a PNG file, which is just like a JPEG, easy to embed in a PowerPoint or an email. You can also get an image of the table below, or you can even get a spreadsheet of the table below in CSV format, which is easy to open in Excel. So that allows you to actually get access to the data in the table. So those two menus make it easy to share information, post information directly from your site, and easily respond to things like requests for information from citizens, or pull this up in a council meeting and say, here's how we're trending for police operations spending over time. Easy to click through, live, since it's all web-based and accessible to everyone. I want to pause for a moment and see if we have any questions so far.
No, I don't think we do, so keep going. Thanks, Brooke.
Awesome. I'm going to click this reset button up here to reset us out of all of our drill downs into police and take us back to our default screen, displaying expenses for all of the departments over time. Let's talk about some real life examples of when you could pull up your OpenGov site to respond to a request or find information on your own. Say you want to understand what are we spending on overtime across the entire city historically. How is that trending? That's something that you can easily produce using the menus on the left-hand side. Because we want to look at a specific account type, overtime, we can choose to break down our expenditures instead of by department, by expense type, so that we can hone in on the expense type we're looking for. We can drill specifically into personnel services and simply zoom in on overtime. to just isolate our overtime expenditures. And within 3 clicks, we're looking at overtime across the city historically. Say you get a follow-up question that's what departments are contributing to this overtime? Very easy to go back to your broken down by menu and break down this overtime expense back by department. And now you can see which departments are contributing to overtime spending. So our y-axis hasn't changed. We're still looking at the same overtime expenditure total, but we're breaking it down in the legend in different ways. So we can see what fire, public safety, public works are all contributing to overtime spending over time. All right. I'm going to click on Reset because I want to show you your revenues here on your annual report. Now, the Show menu, we've been focused on expenses and showing your expense data. But OpenGov has your revenue information as well. We can use the Show menu to, instead of displaying expenses, to show revenues. Clicking on Show Revenues now displays all of our historical revenue information broken down by department. So we see that some revenues are specifically allocated to some departments, but the vast majority fall into general revenues. Very typical. The really interesting view in revenues is when you break down your revenues by revenue type. Clicking into revenues by revenue type is going to give you that really interesting view into all of those broad revenue categories that citizens are so interested in. So things like taxes, licenses and permits, charges for services, fines and forfeits, and the like. Now you'll notice in the legend sometimes the full name gets cut off. You can always simply scroll down below to the table to get more information. If you wanted to understand more about what was contained in our taxes category, there's 2 easy ways to do that. You can do it as I was doing in your expenses and simply click into taxes. And that will show you current taxes versus fiscal disparity, other taxes, and even delinquent and PI. Or there's another way to do that directly from the previous screen. So I'll click my back button to bring back all of our revenue types and simply go back a step as if I hadn't clicked. If I scroll back down to this table, you'll notice that we're looking at all of those revenue types, and each one has a little caret next to it to expand it. If I was to click on taxes in the table, now you see those same sub-items. When we drilled in, you saw the current fiscal disparities, other taxes, delinquent, and PI. And here you can display them directly on the table as well. So you can really see what makes up each category. What are we counting in our taxes bracket? What's falling under licenses and permits? You can see all of these different licenses, permits, all of their historical revenues over time, all the way through our budget 2014 through our 2015 budget. Anytime you see that little caret, you can simply expand that category, like fines and forfeits, to understand more about what's contained within it. Any questions about our revenues or using the table?
Nope, thanks. Keep going.
Great. A question that you might get on revenues, and that I've seen some of our customers field using their OpenGov report, is something like how do license and permit revenues compare to last year? Are they trending up or are they trending down? Easy to do by either drilling in through the table like I showed, or simply clicking into licenses and permits. And you can see here all of the years of historical revenue collection for each license and permit. But maybe the constituent only wants to see how does this compare to last year and what we budgeted. You can come over here on the left easily to zoom in on only certain years of data. So we have this handy fiscal year slider available here. And right now we have data selected from 2009 all the way to 2015. If I zoom in to just our 2014-2015 data, it'll remove all of those other years from our view, simplifying our view so that we can see, compared to the 2014 revised budget, what did we actually collect in licenses and permit revenue, and then what did we budget for this year. So you can see we're about on trend, a little bit over what we anticipated for 2014. But you can see down here in the table exactly where we collected more than we anticipated. So here in building permits, here in heating permits. It's a great way to be able to quickly drill down and answer citizen questions or pull it up in a live meeting. Are there any questions that the council members get today that we could potentially answer using what you've seen so far in your OpenGov site?
Brooke, no, I don't think there are any. I just want to reiterate for everybody out there, though, that this is strictly just the city's general fund, which we're looking at and everything. It's the only fund we've chosen to use for OpenGov and things like that at this point in time. So that's all I want to say, but otherwise you can just keep going.
Great. Thank you for calling that out, Chris. All right. I'll reset us out of our annual view and we'll move into our other report, which is our current year report. You can see up here we've been focusing on annual. By clicking into current year, it'll reset our data and flip us over to a new report. Current year is similar to annual in that it has the same graph types, the same functionality in that you can drill down and learn more about your expenses or revenues. But it's focused on year-to-date information up to the current month. So it allows you to see for any month in the year, am I trending over or under what I budgeted to spend for any account in the general fund? So the default is similar to annual. We're breaking down the city's expenses by department, looking at the fiscal year through December. So I understand that's the end of your fiscal year, so we're essentially looking at a full fiscal year. But this fiscal year through menu allows you to look at any month in the year and compare, am I over, under budget, or what I spent historically. So maybe we wanted to go back to March of 2014 and compare Q1 total. If I flip us over to March, now instead of looking at December year-to-date totals, we're looking at spending through March. You can see here on a prorated basis our historical spending through March, as well as a prorated budget amount. So about what did we budget to spend through March? And then our March 2014 actual year-to-date spending. How much did we spend through March? What's really interesting about current year is it's giving you a real-time analysis of what have I spent so far, is it over or under budget? So if I go down to the table and we wanted to analyze, say, public works spending, you can see here all of our prorated amounts for historical spending through March, as well as what we budgeted to spend. Pretty consistent across the board. But if I scroll over, you'll see our March 2014 actuals, a little bit lower than what was budgeted, and by how much. So current year is always giving you a live variance calculation. Am I over or under budget? And by what percent? So you can see here for 3 of our bigger departments, public safety, public works, and fire were under as of March year-to-date of last year. Now, the most current data set that we've uploaded is through December of 2014. We'll continue on a monthly basis to keep uploading fresh data to this site so that as we progress through your fiscal years, you can compare. Are we over, under what we budgeted? What does that look like compared to historical spending? And how to, make decisions based upon that information. Any questions about current year?
I don't think so, Brooke, so go ahead and keep on going.
Great. Well, that about wraps up my presentation. I wanted to make sure I left ample time for questions. I'm happy to show some more examples if there are no more questions, or if you'd like me to revisit anything at this time, I'd be happy to do so.
Hi, Brooke. This is Pam again. Thanks so much. I think you gave a very thorough presentation about how to navigate through the site, and I think people realize there's a lot of detail in there, a lot of really interesting information. Because we go back several years, obviously, but it's, I think, for just any layperson who wants to really understand better a city budget. We publish this document that's like over 300 pages long, and who wants to look at a bunch of spreadsheets, quite honestly, I think this is a much better way to visualize, how it's very user-friendly, and just how we do spend our money and where we get our money. So with that, I think there aren't any questions, and so Brooke will let you sign off. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you all for your time. Have a great rest of your evening.
Bye.
Thanks, you too.
You are the last party in the conference.